Welcome to the Adriana Talks Dinero podcast, the podcast where we turn money lessons into tools for healing, confidence, and prosperity in our community. I'm Adriana, your bilingual money coach, educator, entrepreneur, and proud author. Here we honor our raíces and our ancestors while building wealth for future generations. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, wealth building strategies, and real talk to help you take control of your dinero, step into abundance, and go from surviving to thriving. Let's talk dinero. So this week, I am going to take another question from a follower. So this week's question is, Adriana, I am currently in the corporate space and I am seeing layoffs going on left and right. I'm scared on me being next. What are your tips to prepare for a layoff? Con cariño, Alma. Well, first of all, Alma, if you are feeling it, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that means it's probably coming. In a spiritual sense, I am a true believer in listening to your gut, listening to your intuition. If it's messages from God, if it's messages from your ancestors, your guides, whatever you believe in, you have to listen to that gut. So first of all, thank you so much for submitting that question, because unfortunately right now, what is going on in the United States is that a lot of companies are laying people off. And they're blaming it on a bunch of things. They're blaming it on the economy. They're blaming it on AI. They're blaming it on everything. You know, people not wanting to go back to the office. The list goes on and on. And if this is your first time listening to Adriana Talks Dinero podcast, I actually work in human resources. So I kind of have an in on what is happening in workforces, not so much for my company that I work for, but also I'm part of a lot of community groups for HR professionals in different spaces, and they're all saying the same thing. So very valid question, and it is very truly happening. And what is unfortunately happening as well is the jobs are not being created. So as people are getting laid off, jobs are not being created by our current administration, which is even worse. So with all that said, I want to give you my 4 things, because there's a bunch of things that I would do for a layoff, but let's go ahead and talk about how to prepare. And then I'll make a follow-up episode on what you should do when you get laid off, or you get that email from HR or that meeting from your boss to say, hey, you're next. So number 1, I need you to understand your spending. You need to look at your numbers, and this is so scary sometimes because so many of us don't even know what our numbers are. What I mean by this is you need to know how much money is currently coming in and how much money is currently going out, and the specifics of that money that is going out. So are you spending a lot of money on makeup? Are you spending a lot of money on a car payment? Are you spending a lot of money on DoorDash? Or maybe you bring in a lot of money and the money just sits in your checking account. It's not in a high yield savings account, so it can go ahead and accrue interest, right? A little side note, I like trash TV personally. So I'm actually watching Blue Therapy on Netflix. If you like psychology and just therapy stuff, this is really good. I can't remember what episode I'm on, but today I was watching it while I was cooking lunch, because I have a little TV in the kitchen. And there was a gentleman who lost his job. And this guy lost his job. He got severance or something. I don't know what the terminology in the UK is for severance and stuff. There's a certain word that I've never heard of. So I'm just going to say it's severance. So he got severance and he had the money in the account. And he said that he likes seeing the money in the account because that makes him feel like a big, tough man. There's other issues in that marriage, but it makes him feel like a big, tough man to have all this money because his wife is the breadwinner. So he doesn't want to spend it on things, even though he has a ton of debt. And the wife is like, you got to pay off your debt. So that's why I'm saying too, understand what money is coming in and what money is going out and what money is just stagnant, because maybe you have the same mindset as this gentleman who just likes to see a lot of money accumulate in their checking account because that makes you feel rich. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I need you to start saving up for the worst case scenario. I need you to open up that high yield savings account if you haven't yet. And if you did, congratulations to you. And start putting money away in that high yield savings account. If you are a single person with no children, make sure that you have anywhere between 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. If you are responsible for an aging parent, if you are raising children, or maybe you have a ton of pets, try to hit 9 to 12 months. Now, I don't expect you to hit it right away, but make the intention to start saving. It's tax season. If you ended up getting a tax return, please do not buy that big screen TV and go open up that high yield savings account and go put money in that high yield savings account. Please don't put that down payment on a brand new car, even though your car is working very well. Be a little intentional. Let's get planning, right? Now, you need to have money set aside for things like this. So make sure that you have that money there. Number 3, update that resume and update your LinkedIn profile. If you have a really good LinkedIn profile, you will get DMs from recruiters and emails from recruiters all the time. I get recruiters in my DMs. I get emails because my email is posted up there, so they'll end up in my inbox from recruiters saying, Adriana, I have this really good opportunity for ABC company. They are looking for a HR director. They're looking for an HR manager. They're looking for HR business partner. This is how much we have budgeted, and this is how much the bonus structure is. Can you tell me the numbers like right off the bat? Or sometimes they'll say, I have this opportunity available. It's remote, whatever. They'll give me some details, and I will go ahead and ask back saying, hey, I need to make X amount of money in order to leave my job. Does this job have that? And I'll tell you more times than not, they don't, because I already know that I get paid pretty well because I'm a regional, and it's very rare to find regional HR jobs. They're just usually for one location, which ends up making the salary go lower. So they usually say no. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you. I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to waste my time either, but best of luck. Or they'll kind of shoot themselves in their foot right away, where they're like, oh, this is a full-time position that needs you to be on site full-time. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, and they want me to be in the loop. We're not doing this. No. I'm not commuting. I'm hybrid. So I go into the office 2 times a week if I really want to, and that's it. So it's really nice to just kind of have your information sitting out there on I call LinkedIn a social media site, on a social media site, and people are like asking you for jobs. You want to start making those connections. You want those people to go ahead and start sliding into your DMs to say that they're looking for someone like you, especially if you have that feeling in your gut. And if you can go ahead and find a job before the layoffs happen, you are in such a good position, especially in hard times like these. I know, like, forbid if I ever do need to go find another job, I'll be okay. And it's because I always have my resume up to date, and I always have my LinkedIn up to date, and I'm always following people. I'm always interacting with people. And depending on what your industry or your profession is, go out there and start joining those networking groups. I know it's exhausting. It's very exhausting to have to like network with people. But when I tell you, like, that is where you're going to find some really good jobs, That's how you're gonna find some really good jobs. So that's another one that I would go ahead and do. Make sure you're like ready for the networking. And number 4, I want you to review your employer handbook. And I want you to look at these few things as you're reviewing the employer handbook and actually make a copy and keep one at home. I always tell everybody, whoever asks for HR advice, especially with this, with like layoffs or just kind of like discrimination stuff, or they're like on a performance plan or something, I'm like, I need everybody to have a physical copy of their handbook. And I also need them to have a physical copy of their job description. And it's a good idea to also have your offer letter just in case you need it. So I need you to have your handbook because I need you to understand the terms and conditions of your employment. What that means is I need you to understand when your insurance is done. Some companies, like the one that I work for, it's done at midnight. So let's say they fire you on Monday night at 11:59 p.m. That is your last minute of insurance. That Tuesday, you're done. Some companies have it till the end of the month. Some companies have it till the next pay period. It just really depends. So understand that aspect. Number 2, I need you to understand your job's vesting period. This one's a big one. So a vesting period is that you have to be at a job for so many amount of years before you can get the employer match for your 401k or 403b. If you don't meet that requirement, they don't have to give you the match. I've worked with clients that have lost $5,000, $6,000, $12,000 because they didn't know what that vesting period was. They got laid off and then they lost all that money. So there's always money on the table. Make sure you understand your vesting period in that handbook. It should be in there, and if it's not in there, it's in your benefits guide. So it's a good idea to have both, to be honest. And another one is understand if there is like a severance deal or like a severance outline, what that looks like. So the usual norm is that for every year of employment, you'll get 1 week of severance pay. And I've actually seen in other companies, like the really big ones, because layoffs are so prevalent, they're a lot more generous. So it really depends on your pay band or your grade level. And that kind of falls more into compensation. So if that's the case, understand what your pay band is or your pay grade level or whatever else sort of thing it is. It's really important to understand that so you can go ahead and prepare too, and know that you have that money coming if you end up getting laid off and they give you a severance package, or they eliminate your job and you get a severance package. So I would say those 4 things are super important, right? Make sure that you understand your spending. Make sure that you have your savings. Make sure that you have your handbook and all the things from work, and also making sure that you have your resume and your LinkedIn profile up to date to get that networking going right away. And I've been laid off before. And unfortunately, in my position, when I was laid off, it was an entire location closing that ended up having a trickle effect to have an entire division closing. So that was really traumatic because I was the only HR person. So not only was I advocating for me, I was advocating for 130 people at the same time. And it felt like I was living a nightmare, like every 4 weeks, because this was like it was like a 9-month process. So I was like in a nightmare for 9 months. And like, because they did the layoffs in waves, it was like getting all of the tiers of employees. And then again, I'm like, I have to do this again in another few weeks. I have to do it again in another few weeks. And it had a lot of survivor's guilt. So like I said, I'm going to make another episode because there's a lot of things that you should be doing when you do end up getting laid off that I did and what I wish I did that I'll be sharing in that episode, because it is traumatic. It's something that no one wants to go through, and it's something that I don't wish on anybody, but unfortunately, it's very prevalent. And I feel like if you do have a career, if you have a job, it's going to happen to you at some point. So the better prepared you are, the better off you are. So I will be making an episode on that. But honestly, Alma, like, great question. And if you want to go ahead and put in questions, make sure you head over to my social media page. I'll go ahead and put in my link tree so you can go ahead and fill out the Google form so you can go ahead and submit your questions too, because I really like hearing what you guys have a need for, and I can go ahead and fulfill that need for that question that maybe you don't have anyone else to ask. So I really do enjoy these, but yeah, it's a traumatic thing. But unfortunately, we are seeing it more and more. And the better prepared you are, it's not going to be such a hard hit to the gut. I don't know what other way to say it, because I can't say that like the rug isn't going to be pulled from under you, because it will be. And it will be very shocking and surprising. So the better prepared we are, the better off we are too. So if you really like this episode, make sure that you share it with whoever else needs to hear it, right? If it's amigas, hermanas, comadres, whoever. It's something that needs to be talked about a little bit more. And of course, I'm going to have the same episode next week in Spanish. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you're not following me on socials, you can head over to Instagram and follow me at Adriana Talks Dinero. That's where I'm the most active. You can also follow me on TikTok and on Facebook too. So I thank you for listening, and I thank you guys for submitting the questions too. It's been a joy. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Talk to you later. Antes de terminar, quiero ser clara con ustedes. Todo lo que hablamos hoy es solo para educarse. Yo no soy asesora de finanzas, ni de impuestos, ni contadora. Solo soy una persona y un coach que quiere ayudar a nuestra comunidad a entender mejor el dinero. Nada de lo que dije en este episodio es consejo personal para ti. Cada persona es diferente y lo que funciona a alguien puede que no te funcione a ti. Por favor, hablar con un profesional antes de tomar decisiones con lo que escuchaste hoy. Adriana Talks Dinero no es responsable por lo que decidas hacer después de escuchar este episodio. Solo quiero darte las herramientas para hacer buenas preguntas, y un buen profesional te puede ayudar con su situación.